So this morning I saw a depressing clock on a clergy colleague's Facebook. He has put up a clock of how long it has been since his church has been able to worship as a church family. If you were wondering, as of this moment, that clock is at 6 weeks and 1 day as of the posting of this video. This isn't just something that's been hard for us pastors, though. We miss one another. All of us do. We miss being with one another. Even while we've been able to do some pretty cool things online and through video conferencing, our homes simply don't feel like the house of God. I found myself thinking that this week. Then I realized that I couldn't be further from the truth. The good news about our God is that our God is not just a God that is stuck in one place. God moves as God will, and oftentimes that movement is not in a church. In the past month, we have had the opportunity to see God moving more and more in our homes. As I thought about this, I began to think of what it would look like to celebrate our intentionally making our homes places for worship. And I was reminded of a passage in 2 Samuel chapter 6. And in this passage, we see the way that David rejoices when the Ark of the Covenant makes its way into Jerusalem. In this way, David's city is officially made a place where God's presence is recognized by us. I mean, God's presence was already there, but it's recognized by us. Here is what we read. Wearing a linen ephod, David was dancing with the Lord with all his might, while he and all Israel were bringing up the ark of the Lord with shouts and the sounds of trumpets. As the ark of the Lord was entering the city of David, Michal, daughter of Saul, watched from a window, and when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she despised him in her heart. They brought the ark of the Lord and set it in its place inside the tent that David had pitched for it, and David sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. He blessed the people in the name of the Lord Almighty. Then he gave a loaf of bread, a cake of dates, and a cake of raisins to each person in the whole crowd of Israelites, both men and women. And all these people went to their homes. When David returned home to bless his household, Michal, daughter of Saul, came out to meet him and said, "How the king of Israel has distinguished himself today, going around half naked in full view of the slave girls of his servants, as any vulgar fellow would." David said to Michal, "It was before the Lord who chose me rather than your father or anyone from his house when he appointed me ruler over the Lord's people, Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord, and I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. But by the slave girls you spoke of, I will be held in honor." In the passage, we see the joy that we can live into when we intentionally make our own homes holy places. When we open ourselves up to more God, we might find ourselves changed in ways that we never expected, becoming fully God's. In this way, we see David become fully God's through generosity and even by offering his body and dancing as a sacrifice to honor God. While some people would have seen his extravagant generosity in feeding the whole city and in dancing when a king was supposed to be restrained, he knew that he had done what he'd done as a way to honor God and to make it clear that no matter where he was, at home or away, that God, the God of Isaac and Jacob, was Lord over his life. And so we're left with the same sort of question. Are we willing to make God Lord over our lives, even becoming undignified? This was the question and the argument between David and Michal in this particular passage. Are we willing to make sure that God is a part of our homes and to celebrate that, especially in this time when we need to make sure that our homes are places that God can be? How can we become more undignified? And now this.
You keep saying you got something for me. Something you call love, but what's that? You've been a messin' where you shouldn't have been a messin'. Go for it. And now someone else is giving all your best.
Friends, I hope you'll become more undignified too, maybe in different ways. May God be with you as you go through the rest of your day. Amen.